I've just taken a flight unlike any I've ever experienced. The service was great, and I can't remember any turbulence, but the destination was bizarre. Having spanned the Pacific Ocean, I was flown to a strange and unknown airport in the middle of the searing Californian desert. It's called Victorville, and it's the place where planes go to die. Now, you might think A Flight to Nowhere is a story about the decline of the airline industry, but not necessarily so. It was a story I'd often heard, but never seen. An aircraft graveyard somewhere in the desert in the American West, like the legendary Elephant's Graveyard, a place where the jumbos of the air go to die. I'd always thought it was just another modern myth. It's not. Then, way in the distance, mirage-like, the latest arrival appears. But before this familiar plane lands, we need to start our journey back at the beginning. I have spent a good deal of my life, sadly, in this. OGG, Oscar Golf Golf, in the language of pilots like Captain Georgina Sutton, is a Boeing 767, which has been in Qantas's fleet for almost 25 years. This one plane has flown 5 million passengers, a distance equivalent to 140 trips to the moon and back. Can I kick the tyre?
Sure.
That's a hell of a tyre, isn't it? But now, OGG has only one more flight to complete. Even in these difficult times, or because of them, Qantas is upgrading its fleet. But renewal also means retirement. So, with a splash of red paint, the wings of the 767s are being clipped. Does it have a personality?
I think all aircraft have personalities, but I think the 767 as a fleet has a personality. All the pilots who've been on this aircraft love it. None of them want to leave. They want to stay on it till the end.
Terrific.
And say goodbye to it in a really appropriate way.
I've made the long trip across the Pacific Ocean more than 100 times, but never aboard a plane to a destination from which there would be no return.
Today we're gate 27 and your seat 47D.
Oh. Is there any chance of an upgrade?
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Wooley, we don't have any available today.
The flight crew today, Captains Georgina Sutton and Helen Trenery, and First Officers Sonia Wastel and Donna Porter, between them have 60 years of experience on the 767.
It's unusual to probably have 4 women on the flight deck.
Men still outnumber women in the air.
Yes, they do, but I think it's more and more attractive, and there's a lot more women coming into aviation now.
I'm not sucking up to you, but I feel more confident with a woman pilot.
I think women have a fine eye for detail.
Yes, and you can do more than one thing at a time.
This is lucky. It's good we can.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Wooley. Welcome. 47, straight down the rear of the aircraft.
Long way down. This aircraft may be a quarter of a century old, but being owned by Qantas means she's in excellent shape.
Planned route, maintain 5,000-1237.
But that's not enough to save OGG and the other 767s. The high cost of fuel has sealed their fate. Hence, the most unusual air trip I've ever taken. This is an all-economy flight, and usually as the plane starts to fill up, I would be worried that that fat man there is going to sit beside me, or the woman with a screaming baby on this side. But this is a flight to nowhere. I've got the whole plane to myself.
A very good morning to our special passenger Charlie on Qantas 6021 to Southern California. Just
just about ready to go. It's a lovely day for flying here in Sydney.
It seems today much of Sydney Airport is waiting to say goodbye. As a mark of respect for the 767, the firefighters spray their best wishes. While the air traffic controllers, usually so businesslike, glow in their praise.
Qantas 6021, on behalf of our services, it's been an absolute pleasure looking after you in our skies. Runway 16 right, clear for takeoff and farewell.
Clear for takeoff, runway 16 right. Thank you very much, Qantas 6021.
And with that, the always extraordinary marvel of flight begins as OGG, 160 tonnes of aircraft, launches skywards. But her 27,963rd and last flight for Qantas.
This aircraft has been absolutely fantastic for us. It's a little bit sad, but it's probably like having a really, really good car. Eventually, it's time to get a new car.
I'm the only passenger on a flight into the twilight zone. The novelty of having the plane to myself for 14 hours is amusing for about 10 minutes. Then, I must confess, it gets a little bit lonely.
Hello, Captain. Good to see you. There's no one to talk to back here. Starved for conversation.
How's it going?
It's going very well. How's the plane going?
It's going really well.
Does she know where she's going?
She knows where she's going.
Oh. Yeah. She doesn't mind?
No, it's time? Absolutely not.
The next morning, our final destination, Victorville, approaches, and OGG makes another graceful arrival. Her work is now over.
It must be a bit of a sad moment, though, when you close the whole thing down.
The last time, yeah, it's like a living being, yeah, we've turned it off.
And what button do you use for that?
Fuel control switches.
Victorville, in the middle of the Mojave Desert, is the perfect place to store aircraft because the dry heat means less chance of corrosion. It's why airlines from all over the world come here while they work out what to do with their old planes.
I'm seeing something that I've never seen before, because airlines don't actually like you looking at this.
Oh, I suppose we'd like you to see the new, but it's something it's healthy to have a look and be respectful of the old.
They might be half a world away from home, but it's like a Qantas museum out here. 20 retired jumbos, 767s and 737s.
It's a strange place, isn't it, wandering around, just the eerie moan of the wind through the planes and nothing else. A little bit of mechanical clanking, loose parts. How do you feel about this place?
Yeah, mixed feelings, I think, Charlie. There's a lot of history here. We actually have a bit of a sentimental approach to aircraft, and I've just wandered around quietly here in my own time, having a look at some of the aircraft that I flew here. My first flight as a second officer in Qantas was on that aircraft over there to London, and the one behind it I flew the Queen. So they have got a lot of history.
And just like Georgina Sutton, Alan Milne, Qantas's head of engineering, has worked on most of these planes. It's not hard to share the nostalgia.
It's funny, that's the story of my life. I must have been on every one of these.
I think the chances are pretty high, Charles, that most of these aeroplanes have been graced by your presence.
And I've outlived them.
You have.
Though they have been better maintained.
That's true.
But even though they look lost and abandoned, the Qantas planes hopefully still have a flying future. Unlike some of the other aircraft here, which are broken up for parts or end up on the scrap heap.
Follow me up.
I never got on this way.
Oh, I was going to say, it's not the normal way we let our customers board.
And once we climb up into the cockpit of this 747, Alan wants to show me these are all still viable aircraft, which, with the flick of a switch...
So the beast is going to come back to life.
She'll come back to life. They don't get powered up all that often, but as you see now that the power's on...
I thought it was dead.
No, she's still got plenty of life in her.
So, while they're too expensive for Qantas to operate, perhaps they can still be a good deal for someone else. And at just $30 or $40 million, a genuine bargain.
I'm a prospective buyer. I want you to sell this plane to me.
Fantastic service history. They've been maintained like no other aeroplanes in the world.
One owner?
One owner, been treated carefully.
Only driven by a little old lady on the Sunday?
Correct.
Despite the recycling, you might think that all of this looks a bit wasteful. But if we want to understand why there are so many planes parked here in the baking heat, we need to travel north, the length of the United States, because what we're seeing down here is the past, and what we'll be seeing up there is the future. In its Seattle factory, Boeing is flat out replacing all those retired aircraft we saw in the desert, and more. They're building 40 of these 737s alone every working month and still can't satisfy the demand as airlines everywhere, including Qantas, upgrade for fuel efficiency and greater passenger comfort. I've seen the future, and already I like it. But before I could drift off to sleep in the 747 of tomorrow, I had an appointment with Boeing's Randy Tinseth, the man you meet if you want to buy one of these things. The history of aviation has been so short, and look where we are now.
Yeah, those first airplanes were made of wood and fabric, and now the airplanes are actually made of a different type of fabric with the carbon fiber reinforced plastic or the composite material. Yeah, technology has driven this business.
Manufacturers like Boeing need to provide planes that are hugely more fuel efficient. These days, over time, fuel can cost more than the plane.
That they've been able to improve their efficiency 50, 60, 70% over the lifetime. And I'll tell you, every year in aviation, we improve the efficiency of our products another 1.5%. So I think we're doing all of the right things.
There are so many planes parked here in the desert, but I keep coming back to the familiar Qantas jets. In the last 5 years, the airlines bought 140 brand new planes to replace these old ones. It seems filling the aircraft graveyard just might be the best way for Australia's national carrier to survive.
It's easy to have a kind of Disney spell or a Thomas the Tank Engine thing happening here, but I feel that these planes are a little sad.
Well, some of them will fly again. The way I look at it here, they're with their friends. So maybe not so sad.
With their friends.
Indeed.
Hello, I'm Charles Wooley. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.